Hi guys. So let's read a story about butterflies because everybody loves butterflies. Most people do anyway. I love them. This one's called Mr. McGinty's Monarchs and it's by Linda Vander Hayden. And it's one of my favorites too. I love it. I've read it more times than I care to count, but I'll keep reading it. On lazy afternoons, Mr. McGinty watched monarchs dip and rise on the summer breeze. With his magnifying glass, he studied them sipping sweet nectar from the flowers. And when Mr. McGinty and Sophie went for long walks, he marveled as monarchs flitted and fluttered from milkweed to milkweed, laying eggs. Milkweed's the only plant a monarch uses to lay its eggs, he told Sophie. When the eggs hatch, the caterpillars feed on the leaves. What do you think of that? Sophie's tail thump, thump, thumped. There's him and Sophie, his doggie. There's a butterfly. There they are walking. Summer slipped by quickly. One morning, Mr. McGinty awoke with Sophie's warm breath on his face. Come on, girl. Let's check on the monarchs. When they reached the stretch of road where the milkweed grew thick, Mr. McGinty's shoulders drooped. His lower lip trembled. All the beautiful plants lay on the ground. Mr. McGinty examined the cut stems. Monarch caterpillars clung to the drying milkweed. Some stretched their striped bodies, searching for a place to climb. Oh, no. He's looking pretty upset, isn't he? Hurrying home, Mr. McGinty loaded an old wagon with jars. Its rusted wheels squeaked as he pulled it from the shed. Hurry, Sophie, he called. We're going on a monarch mission. Squeak, creak, squeak, creak, squeak, creak. Mr. McGinty carefully picked up each monarch caterpillar. Bet you didn't know these little wigglers are also called larvae. Huh, Soph. Sophie sniffed at a caterpillar. Cars slowed. People shook their heads. A lot of fuss over some fancy worms, one woman said. Mr. McGinty paid no heed. With gentle fingers, he lifted each leaf and lowered each larva. Soon, his jars were full of wriggling, wiggling, stretching caterpillars. So, there he goes with his wagon full of jars. And there he is getting them. See? Time to go home, girl. He patted Sophie's head. Mr. McGinty, Sophie, and the wagon full of wriggling, wiggling, stretching caterpillars rolled along. Squeak, creak, squeak, creak, squeak, creak. There he goes. There he is with his wagon. Mr. McGinty purchased aquariums, lots and lots of aquariums. He lined the bottoms with sticks and milkweed leaves. He placed the caterpillars inside and covered each aquarium with a screen. Stroking Sophie's ears, he watched the caterpillars feast on fresh leaves. There he is, putting him in the aquarium. There's Sophie, laying by his feet. Mr. McGinty slipped into his chair. How will we ever take care of all these caterpillars, Sophie? They'll need fresh milkweed leaves every day. They'll need someone to watch them as they grow and someone to release them after they become butterflies. Mr. McGinty sat up straight and snapped his fingers. Sophie, he said, I've got it. There he is thinking in his chair. There's Sophie. He surprised her, I think, didn't he? The next morning, he and Sophie loaded the truck with caterpillars. They drove to a nearby school. Mr. McGinty taught the children about the life cycle of monarchs, from eggs to caterpillars to chrysalises to butterflies. When these caterpillars become butterflies, he said, they'll migrate. He left an aquarium of wriggling, wiggling, stretching monarch caterpillars with each classroom so the children could feed and care for them. There they are, with their illustrations. He knows his butterfly stuff, doesn't he? At the end of the day, Mr. McGinty had one aquarium left. His eyes sparkled. Looks like this one's coming home with us, Sophie. Every day, Mr. McGinty fed the caterpillars fresh milkweed leaves. The monarch caterpillars grew and grew. They formed chrysalises until finally, look at him dancing with his dog. There they are. They're getting in their chrysalises. When the Monarchs had straightened their wings and were strong enough to fly, Mr. McGinty rolled out the old wagon one more time. Squeak, creak, squeak, creak, squeak, creak. Ready, Sophie? Mr. McGinty laughed. Woof! Sophie danced around his feet. So there they go with their wagon. Got a little peeper watching it, and he's waving. He's proud as a peach. Those butterflies. They joined the children on the playground. Together, they lifted the screens from the aquariums. One after another, Monarchs spread their wings and flew up, up, and up. An early autumn breeze brushed against Mr. McGinty's cheek. He watched as Monarchs fluttered feather light across the field. They have a long way to go, said Mr. McGinty, but they'll be back. Sophie licked him on the nose. And we'll be here to welcome them home. So there they go. They're everywhere. We released some butterflies at the library a couple years ago. It was a lot of fun. It was a few years ago. That was a good one. Okay, so that's the end of that one. And that one's called Mr. McGinty's Monarchs. I hope you guys enjoyed that one too. Mr. McGinty and Sophie. Okay. Well, I hope you guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you later. And love you. Miss you. Bye-bye.